What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod, and I'm a full-time eBay and PoshMark seller. And in today's video, I want to share 10 things that every reseller needs in order to make their business way more efficient. So if you guys are interested in these kind of videos, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the number one thing that I think every reseller needs in order to make their business way more efficient and they can save some time and some money as well is to invest in a thermal printer. Now, my thermal printer is the one that you guys usually see right behind me, and it's this right here, and this is the Dymo 4XL. And this one is, I spent about 130 bucks on this one because I bought it brand new, but you can definitely get this one a lot cheaper for maybe like 100, sometimes even less than that. But for me, I'll do a full in-depth review and show you guys how it works and things like that in a future video. But this is not necessarily like a promotion for Dymo. You can get any thermal printer. I know there's a ton of them on the market, but as long as you get a thermal printer that can print the labels, I think it's a 4x6 label that you might need for eBay and for PoshMark. As long as that thermal printer does that for you, you would save a ton of money on ink. You'd save a ton of time because you won't have to waste tape, pasting each corner, and it just looks way more professional whenever you're shipping out packages. So the number one thing on my list is a thermal printer, and I use the Dymo 4XL, but go ahead and get whichever one that you can find for a good price, of course, because like I said, it saves money in the long run. Also, I forgot to mention, when it comes to using thermal printers, although you will save some money on ink because ink is very, very expensive, especially depending on the type of printer, you still will need to invest money in buying the different labels. But I mean, that's just regular cost of business, and I don't even get the official Dymo labels. I just purchased mine as an aftermarket label, and I only paid $25 for about 800 rolls. So that's a pretty good investment, and it usually lasts me maybe about 2.5 months. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and pick up a Dymo printer. The next thing on my list is a Tide stain pen. Now, I usually try not to pick up things that have stains because, trust me, I've wasted a lot of money on different things that had a stain and I thought I could get rid of it. But nowadays I still take risks, but very, very small risk, very, very calculated risk. But for the most part, there hasn't been a stain that I haven't been able to get out without this Tide pen. So if you guys see any of these in your thrift stores, my bad. Or you can get it for a good deal on Amazon, or maybe it's maybe it's in the grocery store on sale. I suggest pick up a few of them because they always come in handy, especially for those very, very small stains that we might not have seen while we were in the thrift store. So definitely pick up a Tide to Go stain pen because, trust me, it works wonders. Next thing that every reseller needs is a digital scale, and the digital scale is super important whether you're shipping things on eBay or on PoshMark, because if you're printing your labels from home, you definitely need to know the weight. And if you're shipping things on PoshMark, if it's a pair of boots or it's a coat and it might be over 5 pounds, you would definitely need to make sure that you can weigh that so that you can put the proper label on there. So whichever platform you're selling on, a digital scale is super important. And I actually picked this one up from the thrift store for about $3 or $4. And this is just like a Weight Watchers scale. It's actually a food scale, so you can measure out your portions if you're dieting or anything like that. So I suggest getting something like this. It's ideal. This one goes up to about 6 pounds. If you guys see these in your thrift store, definitely pick it up because it's a very good investment for your business. So next thing on my list is definitely some measuring tape. Now, I usually walk around the house with like 2 or 3 of these on my neck because I'm always taking measurements for my listings. And usually some people, they rather not take measurements, especially on PoshMark. I realize that a lot of people don't bother to do that. But for me, a lot of times I prefer to just take some measurements. That way it kind of avoids the questions and having me to do, the work twice. So I rather just take measurements for almost all of my pieces, and I use a measuring tape. And I think I had this one for a very long time when I used to take fashion classes where I was sewing and shit like that. So if you guys see any of these in your thrift stores, I would suggest that you pick it up, because the measuring tapes, for me, especially when it comes to clothes, it's a little more accurate than those longer measuring tapes that you might find in like a hardware store or something like that. So for me, I prefer using a measuring tape, but if you can get the other ones, I suggest you get that one too, just as long as it's accurate. Next thing that I think every reseller needs is a lighting kit. Now, if you want to do videos like me, a lighting kit is definitely going to come in handy because you can use it for your videos. But for me, lighting kits definitely help, just make my clothes look a lot better, especially if I have a white background. It kind of, really makes it look really, really white and bright. So I would definitely suggest that you invest in a lighting kit. And I always tell people, don't get... my list is 10 things to have for every reseller, but at the same time, I would suggest that you buy some of these things slowly and don't, invest way too much money in your business in the very beginning. I would suggest that you space it out, because a lighting kit could cost anywhere between maybe $70 or maybe $200, depending on the quality and how much different lights you have. So like I said, I think it's a really good thing to have for every reseller, even if you're not selling clothing. But it's definitely not necessary. You can always use a daylight, or you can always just use a regular lamp in your house. So I would suggest that you still pick one up, but don't get it right away. Just do it if you have the funds. Next thing on my list is some type of storage system. Whether you're buying storage racks, clothing racks, or bins, you're definitely going to need something to hold all of your inventory in. And for me, I like to have storage racks and I like to have storage bins, and I'll probably show you guys my inventory system in a future video. But definitely invest in some type of rack, some type of shelving, or some type of storage bins, just so that you can hold your inventory and keep it nice and safe and clean. I prefer bins and racks, but somebody else, they might prefer to hang them in their own closet if their inventory isn't large enough or anything like that. So whatever you need to keep your clothes away from danger and stains and dust, I suggest you do. Next thing on my list is poly bags. Now, poly bags come in a ton of different sizes, and if you have an eBay store, you can even order poly bags for free. But I suggest that you get some 6x9 poly bags, and also some really, really large poly bags that sometimes I think it's like 24 by 20 or something like that. But I like to have the small poly bags and the really, really large poly bags, because some items I get, it can't fit in a box, and it would cost a lot more money to ship it in a box. So if you can put it in a poly bag, that can save you a ton of money. And some things that I usually ship out in poly bags is stuff like tennis rackets, boots that I would previously wrap in bubble wrap, and just stuff like that. So I suggest some smaller poly bags and some larger poly bags, just so that you can cover all bases. Next thing that you need, especially for shoes, is some acetone or some nail polish remover. Now for me, in my Goodwill and in my thrift stores, a lot of them, they would write the price of the shoe underneath the shoe, and they would write it in markup. And the only thing that really gets some of that marker off is acetone or nail polish remover. So I would definitely suggest you getting a bottle of acetone or nail polish remover, just so that you can get some of those prices off, because I would hate to buy a pair of shoes and I would pay $100 for the shoes, and I would see on the bottom of it, it says $7.99. Like, I don't know if I would necessarily return it, but chances of me leaving that person any feedback is very slim to none. So definitely invest in some nail polish remover or acetone to get those prices, or just any marker stains. That'll definitely help. So definitely invest in it. Next thing on my list is some thank you notes. Now, I usually don't use thank you notes for eBay, but for PoshMark, I think it's definitely necessary. So I usually get a lot of my thank you notes from the thrift store. Sometimes it might be a pack of 10 or a pack of 20 for like $1, and I definitely grab them up anytime I see them. So I would suggest you get some thank you notes, and make sure you're not spending a ton of money on these things. If it's $2, if it's $1, that's perfect. But anything more than that, I would suggest you probably going online and trying to find a better deal, because thank you notes, in my opinion, is important, and I think it's pretty necessary for PoshMark at this point. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. So I wouldn't suggest you spend a ton of money on thank you notes or tissue paper and stuff like that. Next thing on my list, and I think this is really just for eBay, of course, but just having an eBay store subscription is very, very important. Not only do you get a coupon to get free shipping supplies every quarter, so that's 4 times a month, you'd get a $25 coupon, which basically, it's a good incentive for you to buy a store, but you get so many other little privileges when it comes to having an eBay store, such as having more listings that you can put up, and you just get, in my opinion, I think you just get better customer service when you have an eBay store. If you guys disagree, drop that in the comment section, let me know. But I know before I had an eBay store, Anytime I called eBay, it'll take forever for them to answer. And now that I have an eBay store, I usually wait about maybe 2 to 3 minutes on the phone, especially if I'm calling about a return. They always get back to me almost immediately. So I would suggest that, getting an eBay store is definitely worth it. And like I said, you get the eBay coupons every quarter. You get a lot more listings instead of the 50 free listings that they usually give. And it almost works like clockwork. At the end of the month, if I run out of listings too soon, I almost always end up getting like 500 free listings or 200 free listings for like a 3 or 4 day window. So I always think that's important, because if you have to pay for listings, 15 cents and 20 cents per listing can definitely add up really, really quickly. So if you're on the fence about getting an eBay store, I use a basic eBay store, and it's been doing just fine for me. So I would suggest everyone pick up an eBay subscription. Next thing that everybody should have is definitely a USPS subscription, so that you can order free packages online. Now for me, I usually get all of my boxes, all of my padded flat bags, and all of those type of things. I usually get them from USPS.com, and the delivery person in my area would always just drop them off at my door. And that way it saves me time from having to, try to find one in the post office, because they usually never have those type of boxes. And the boxes that I usually order offline are the shoe boxes, regional A boxes, and padded flat rate boxes, because they never have those in my post office, and those are kind of rare. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure they don't offer those in most of the post offices, because those are the cheaper options. And in the post office, they usually just have medium flat rate or a large flat rate, and a legal flat rate bag. So if you guys are definitely trying to sell things on eBay or on PoshMark, definitely sign up for USPS.com. That way you can order your shipping supplies for free. And last but certainly not least, I already gave you guys 10 things, but I just wanted to throw in a bonus, and that is a lint roller. It's so many times that I've been looking on eBay for things for myself, and something would just look really, really linty or just covered in dog hair. And of course, I wouldn't want to purchase that, because if the seller is showing me that it's really linty and dusty, chances are I know I don't want that. So in order to counteract that, if you purchase something that it has a lot of, maybe it has some hair or maybe it has some lint, if you have a lint roller, you can just get rid of that stuff and just make your items a lot more presentable, because nowadays the competition on eBay and on PoshMark is really, really heavy. So it's just best to, go the extra mile and make your items look as presentable as possible. That way you can just keep on making sales. So that's all I have for today's video. So if you guys enjoyed that one, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos. And if you think I forgot anything that every reseller should have, definitely drop that in the comment section so we can keep the conversation going. And that's all I got for today. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.